In the birthplace of cricket and having history of almost 150 years, it is very difficult to narrow down on the best all-rounders England has produced. In the current playing 11, Ben Stokes is considered the best all-rounder for England in all formats of the game. This video is a tribute video to all the all-rounders of England. Number 1. Ian Botham. In his peak, Ian Botham was arguably the best batsman and the best bowler of the English side. His heroics in 1981 Ashes is commonly referred to as the Botham Ashes. Ian Botham's all-round performance of more than 200 runs and 13 wickets helped England reach the finals of the 1992 World Cup. In a cricketing career spanning 16 years, Ian Botham has played 102 Tests and 116 ODIs for England, scoring over 7,000 runs and has taken 528 international wickets. He has 14 centuries and 31 half-centuries with a highest score of 208 versus India in Tests and 79 versus New Zealand in ODIs. His best bowling figures in Tests are 8 for 34 versus Pakistan and in ODIs is 4 for 31 versus Australia. His overall record combined do make him the best all-rounder of England. Number 2. Andrew Flintoff. Coming at number 2, Andrew Flintoff could perhaps had overtaken Ian Botham as the best English all-rounder had he stayed longer in the game. In a career spanning 11 years, Andrew Flintoff played 79 Tests, 141 ODIs and 7 T20s, scoring over 7,000 international runs. He has 8 centuries and 44 half-centuries with a highest of 167 in Tests and 123 in ODIs, both against the West Indies. He has taken a total of 400 wickets with best bowling performances of 5 for 58 in Tests and 5 for 19 in ODIs, also against the West Indies. Number 3. Ben Stokes. Arguably the most aggressive all-round player in active duty for England. He pioneered the World Cup win for England in 2019. Ben Stokes has been playing since 2013 and has represented in 71 Tests, 101 ODIs and 34 T20s, scoring almost 8,000 international runs. He has 13 centuries and 45 half-centuries with a career best of 258 versus South Africa in Tests and an unbeaten 102 versus Australia in ODIs. Ben Stokes has picked up 256 wickets so far with best bowling performance of 6 for 22 versus West Indies in Tests and 5 for 61 versus Australia in ODIs. Number 4. Paul Collingwood. A batting all-rounder, Paul Collingwood was lethal with the ball as well in the limited format of the game. In a career spanning 11 years, he has played 68 Tests, 197 ODIs and 36 T20s, scoring almost 10,000 international runs. He has 15 centuries and 49 half-centuries with a career best of 206 versus Australia in Tests and an unbeaten 120 versus Australia in ODIs. He has also taken 144 international wickets with best bowling performances of 3 for 23 versus New Zealand in Tests and 6 for 31 versus Bangladesh in ODIs. Number 5. Moeen Ali. Moeen Ali is always underrated as a batsman, batting lower down the order. He has been playing for England since 2014 and has played in 61 Tests, 112 ODIs and 38 T20s, scoring over 5,000 international runs. He has 8 centuries and 21 half-centuries with a career best of an unbeaten 155 versus Sri Lanka in Tests and 128 versus Scotland in ODIs. He has taken 297 wickets with best bowling figures of 6 for 53 versus South Africa in Tests and 4 for 46 versus Australia in ODIs. Number 6. Chris Woakes. Another member of the current England team to feature in this list. Paceman Chris Woakes has been playing since 2013, having played 38 Tests, 106 ODIs and 10 T20s so far. He has scored over 2,500 runs with 1 century and 10 half-centuries. His highest scores are an unbeaten 137 versus India in Tests and an unbeaten 95 versus Sri Lanka in ODIs. He has taken 275 wickets with best bowling figures of 6 for 17 versus Ireland in Tests and 6 for 45 versus Australia in ODIs. Number 7. Tony Greig. Legendary all-rounder for England, Tony Greig had a very short career, spanning just 6 years. He played 58 Tests and 22 ODIs for England, scoring over 3000 runs and has 8 centuries and 20 half centuries. His highest score is 148 versus West Indies in Tests. His medium pace was also very effective as he has taken 160 international wickets with best bowling figures of 8 for 86 versus West Indies in Tests and 4 for 45 versus New Zealand in ODIs. Number 8. John Emburey. In a cricketing career spanning 17 years, John Emburey has played in 64 Tests and 61 ODIs, having scored 2,214 runs and has taken 223 wickets. He has scored 10 half centuries with a highest of 75 versus New Zealand. His best bowling figures are 7 for 78 versus Australia in Tests and 4 for 37 versus West Indies in ODIs. Number 9. Ray Illingworth. A genuine all-rounder just before the era of Ian Botham, Ray Illingworth played for 16 years representing in 61 Tests and 3 ODIs. He has scored 1,841 runs with 2 centuries and 5 half centuries. His highest score is 113 versus West Indies. He has taken 126 wickets with best figures of 6 for 29 versus India in Test and 3 for 50 versus Australia in ODIs. Number 10. Trevor Bailey. Playing in the 1950s, Trevor Bailey played for 11 years in 61 Tests. He has scored 2,290 runs with 1 century and 10 half centuries. His highest is an unbeaten 134 versus New Zealand. He has picked up 132 wickets with best bowling figures of 7 for 34 versus West Indies. Number 11. Wilfred Rhodes. A pre-World War cricketer and has played for 31 years. Wilfred Rhodes played in 58 Tests, scoring 2,325 runs with 2 centuries and 11 half centuries. His highest score is 179 versus Australia. He has also taken 127 wickets with best figures of 8 for 68 versus Australia. Number 12. Fred Titmus. A career spanning 20 years, Fred Titmus played in 53 Tests and 2 ODIs, scoring 1,460 runs. He has 10 half centuries with a best of an unbeaten 84 versus India. He has picked up 156 wickets with best bowling figures of 7 for 79 versus Australia in Test matches. Number 13. Maurice Tate. Another pre-World War cricketer, he has played in 39 Tests, scoring 1,198 runs with 1 century and 5 half centuries. His highest score is an unbeaten 100 versus South Africa. He has taken 155 wickets with best bowling figures of 6 for 42 versus South Africa. Number 14. Graeme Swann. A short cricketing career spanning just 6 years. Graeme Swann was known more for his off-spinners. He played in 60 Tests, 79 ODIs and 39 T20s, scoring 1,974 runs. He has 5 half centuries to his credit with a career best of 85 versus South Africa in Tests. He has taken 410 wickets with best bowling performances of 6 for 65 versus Pakistan in Tests and 5 for 28 versus Australia in ODIs. Number 15. Ashley Giles. Many may argue that he should not fit in this list. Ashley Giles played for 9 years in 54 Tests and 62 ODIs for England, scoring 1,806 runs. He has 4 half centuries with a career best of 59 versus Australia in Tests. He has picked up 198 wickets with best bowling figures of 5 for 57 versus West Indies in Tests and 5 for 57 versus India in ODIs.